Hi, and welcome to Business Unusual. I'm Liz Whitehead, co-mastermind at Diversity Masterminds, and I'm here as always with Heather Cox.
Hi, I'm Heather Cox, the other co-mastermind of Diversity Masterminds.
And we're going to talk about what happens when business unusual becomes business as usual. And we're going to talk about that with our guest, Kimberly John Burns. Hey, Kimberly.
Yay!
Hey guys.
So great. Yeah, we're going to get into it. We're going to get into business unusual. But before we do that, tell us a little bit about you and your business.
Okay, my name is Kimberly John Burns, and I'm the CEO and founder of Common Stake Group, Inc. So individuals that are frustrated living check to check, they come and they coach with me when they're actually ready to get their money right. So I show them how to create revenue rituals, allowing them to flourish in their finances. So I help them create budgets that are blessings and not a burden.
But it's not just for people who have like hourly wage. This is for people who are very, like, if you looked at their tax returns, you'd be like, what do you mean they can't? They're living paycheck to paycheck, right?
Exactly. So, what will happen is you'll find that some people just do not know how to manage their money at all. And it's not at a fault of anyone. They just didn't know. Money's considered taboo. It's not taught to us from when we were younger. So a lot of times I'll end up seeing the tax return, like you said, Heather, and I'm like, well, they should be able to have a savings or be able to, but they just don't know how. And I literally go in and I dissect I get in their business. I dissect their numbers, their bills. I get all into it and really try to figure out where we need to change some of your rituals, your financial habits, and just try to rearrange your debt, your expenses, and your income. That's just basically what I do.
Right.
Now, people say it takes like 2 weeks to make a habit, and 6 weeks to break a habit, something like that, right? That's right? Isn't that the psychology behind habits, something like that? Is it the same with financial habits as well?
Yeah, it depends on who you're dealing with. And I really try, a lot of times, it also depends on who's coming to me. So a lot of times people are extremely aggressive when they come to me because this is a very touchy topic for them and they're uncomfortable, very uncomfortable. And some people surrender. They completely surrender and say, look, I don't know what I'm doing. Just tell me and I'm here for it. So if you're the person that surrenders, they're on top of it in about a week or two. But even the ones that are a little bit more apprehensive and they're a bit aggressive, and I have to step back and say, are you okay? You sure you want to do this? That still only takes them maybe about 3 weeks to really start to understand the flow of their finances. In a week, they're coming to me and says, I just realized I didn't buy those shoes because I realized I just don't have it.
So just so you guys know, we actually did hire Kimberly. I'm like, if you all wonder, so I'll give you guys feedback also, because we're one of those people who were like, I want those shoes. So I find myself being the guinea pig a lot, whatever, but you know what? I'm okay saying that I am not very good at this, not very good at it. So I'm going to make sure that I get good at it because, I don't want my kids to have the same bad habits or the same naivete around how to budget for a household. And, it's so funny because I feel like back in the day, they used to teach this in school.
I think they did back in the day, but right now personal finance is not.
Why is that? Why is that not part of an education?
I'm going to tell you, it's funny that you just said that because I literally just started teaching a financial kids class last week. So kids that are homeschooling right now, a mom came to me, actually one of my clients, she came to me, she said, would you be interested in teaching a class? I said, yeah, anything for the kids. I can throw this together. And I literally am in Google Classroom now teaching her kids. And now I'm getting other people that want me to do it. That's not taught in schools. And they have so much questions. Oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe. They have so much questions and their parents or their grandparents or the people that they're living with, they can't answer them. So if you're a parent and you're willing to say, I just don't know. So here, you teach them. I don't want them to do what I did. I don't want them to follow in my footsteps. Let's start this generation new, so I'm trying to break generational financial rituals, the bad ones, at least.
Yeah, the bad ones. Let's keep the good ones. Keep the good ones. Right.
Yeah, let's keep the good ones.
Yeah. Well, this is a great timing. Heather, you've been looking for this person for a while.
I know I have. And so she actually, Tip, so we have a mutual friend, Tip Jones, who we all love, right? She has a company called Own Hers, which is a consulting company, right? A coaching company that works with other women-owned entrepreneurs. And so, and she is a huge advocate for supplier diversity and diversity certification. So she actually referred Kimberly to me and certified my company, which is how we met. And then when I heard what she did, I was like, oh, yes, I need you just as much as you need me.
Oh, that's perfect.
That's just how it happened.
Yeah,
yep.
Exactly. I know.
And
one day I'm going
to
learn to filter about my life, what I say, but I'm like an open book. I don't know if that's good or bad, but I'm like good at this. I'm not good at this. I'm good at this. I'm great at this. I stink at this. Right.
Yes. But that's great though, because other people can relate. And so they'll say, oh, Heather doesn't know how to handle her money either. I'm not alone.
No, I do not. Right.
It's all right. We're going to get you on board. I can't wait to work with you.
Oh my gosh, I know. I feel like you should have a video cam when you're doing that too. You guys should.
Well, we're totally gonna do a testimonial for sure, right? Because I think people, it's one of those topics, as you said, that people are a little bit embarrassed to talk about, right? So they're like, you assume that people have good jobs, they're doing well, or they're running successful companies. Oh, they never, have a problem. I mean, how many times do you hear like, oh, you're an entrepreneur, you have money, right? But right. But so like, I think that we'll say one of the blessings that has been bestowed upon me, I think because of that lack of filter of saying like being an open book to people, is that I will share when things are tough or when things have become a difficulty. And so use that for the good, right? And say like, something we were all embarrassed about it, but because of that, because we finally was like, you know what, enough is enough, right? And took control, it can help other people. So I'll use my lack of personal shame to help other
Oh my gosh, that's good. See, you're helping people.
Yeah.
Part of the service. That's part of the service. Kimberly, were you always good at finance stuff, or was this a hard lesson to learn for you?
No, I was taught from very young from my grandmother, my mother, how to budget my money. So, and being young, I really thought everyone did it. So my grandmother used to sit at her table with the old school green accounting ledger, the old one, hardcover, and she owned 2 homes. So she had a lot of bills and rent and utilities that she was taking care of. So she laid everything out. Now, I don't want anybody to think that she was forthcoming with the information. I was just super nosy. And I would watch her and I would look, and then you maybe just sneak in 2 questions she'll ask you. Don't ask 3 or 4, it's too much, right? Because it's money, finances, you're not supposed to share with kids and things like that. But I just used to like her handwriting, and I used to just watch her write everything out. Then I would go downstairs. This was on a monthly basis. I would go downstairs, and my mother then had a long yellow legal pad writing out every bill that she wrote, her income at the end, tuition, Con Edison, that's light, the light bill, right, electrical, right? So Con Ed, gas, my sister and I tuition, everything, listing it all. Sneak 2 questions in, then I would just retreat because it was just too much, but I watched them do it. So my sister and I, we just mirrored it. And we thought everyone did it. And I came to realize that people really didn't. And I only really made this a business of mine within the past 2 years.
So when did you realize that having this kind of knowledge, this expertise, you were actually in the minority of people versus the majority of people? When did you realize that?
Well, I had a couple of friends that, I would help them put together budgets using Excel. I had a girlfriend of mine that I used to work for Morgan Stanley. I worked there for about 20 years. So I had a girlfriend that we used to talk about finance and budgets and balance transfers. We used to talk about this stuff all the time because she was really good at it too. But it wasn't until a conversation during my my coaching session with Tip. And prior to this business, I was actually doing business lending. I was lending small loans to small businesses. And that's what she was working with me on. And she was talking about something. And I said, well, why don't you just take that money that's sitting there and move it into a savings, but don't make it an internal savings, make it external savings so you don't have access to it so quick. She
I
went,
was like, what?
she was like, I ain't never heard no shit like that before in my life.
Oh, you said it just like her. Oh my God, that's so funny.
And I just looked at her. I said, what do you mean? She said, well, yo, she said, no, seriously, I've never heard anything like this. This is what you should be doing. And so we were already kind of diverting from the business lending because during COVID, a lot of loans went into default, right? So that was one of the issues I was trying to figure out what am I going to do now? But it ended up being that the reason why I was giving the loans was because people couldn't figure out the finances. They couldn't get their personal finances. So now what I'm doing is I'm reaching the core of the issue as opposed to aid. So I'm fixing the core. So now you don't need any money from me because you're getting your money all the way right.
Hold on, I want to make a clarification. She wasn't lending out small business loans from a large corporation. This was her own personal money that she was lending to other small businesses.
Yes, I was.
Oh,
you discovered that this weekend, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I want to clarify that this lady's smart. Extra.
I figured my money was sitting in the bank. It was earning this little bit of interest, and there were people out there that needed, $2,000, $1,000. The dollar amounts that they needed were small to get their business off the ground. Small to me, at least. So I said, well, I could just give you $1,000. Here's your interest. This is your payment schedule. Here's the interest you're paying. Here's the promissory note. I had it all laid out, and I learned that from another financial class I was in as being an angel investor, but I turned it into a whole business. But then outside of that, like I said, COVID, which is probably one of the things we probably be talking about, COVID just said, and a lot of loans went into default, and I had to change up payment schedules, so it didn't become as lucrative. So we were trying to I was getting a little discouraged, and I just happened to say that in a conversation, talking to her on a personal level, and that's how I jumped into.
There you go. Yeah. So how did COVID affect people's finances in general?
So when I was, like I said, I started this in 2019. So I was giving out loans at that time. So then as soon as COVID hit, I started getting the emails and the phone calls because I was dealing with small businesses and that some of them had full-time jobs, some of them didn't. So event planning, I had one event planner. She had to change her whole payment schedule because no one
has no events.
Right. Then I had another young lady that was seamstress. Hers went into complete default, still working on that one. Then I had a hairdresser. So all the small businesses I was lending to, most of them were shut down. They weren't able to do stuff. Some of them were able to pick up something else because they were that resilient. They just started selling one girl was selling like vitamins and doing other things. They just picked up other quick trades to make money. They were going to make back the money. I had one truck driver. She was great. She was great. She was good to go. She was able to give me back the money with no problem. So small businesses were affected depending on the arena they were in. They were affected big time, but a lot of them had to go back to corporate because they needed to be able to work from home, and whatever they were in, they were able to get their jobs back, and they just ended up having to work from home and still for very, very little money. And some of them did collect the unemployment and things like that. So it was hard.
Wow.
It was hard.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit, because we talked a little bit before we got on the call, before the recording, about the conference you just went to, and talk about that as, sort of the next normal once you're getting out of COVID. Like, why was it different than other conferences?
Well, just happy to get out of virtual world for a minute because
amen, sister. Oh my.
I mean, even one of Tip's events was the Envision, and Envision was virtual, and that was fine. It was great. It was what it was. You went to these different chat rooms to talk in different groups. And now we were able to actually go in different rooms and see and laugh and experience the emotion behind whatever they were saying. We broke out into sessions, got together and came back together. Just the physicalness of it all. I just missed it. I missed it. And we still practiced mask and face shields, and it was a huge mansion. So she ensured that for 30 of us, there was enough space. And I mean, the lawn and the backyard and the pool. There was a whole pool. No one really went in, just put their feet in because it was cold, but it was huge. So, you have to try, especially if you're going to do these events, you can't have it in small spaces. You have to just try to accommodate in terms of space and minimize the amount of people that you would have normally invited to something like that. Because it could have easily fit, because I think it's normal for weddings. So it could have easily fit 200 people.
Yeah.
In terms of the outside and inside. So 30 of us was more than comfortable, and everybody was calm and safe.
But just getting the energy from the other people, right? I mean, it's like, it's really amazing. And it could just be the extrovert in me, whatever, right? But I really feel like when you're with other people in person, you get a sense of who they are so much more than when you're virtual, right?
Yeah.
You can sense the parts that are hard for them to talk about. You can sense the parts that they're passionate about, and it just like the vibes just flow off of them, right? So
Absolutely.
like, I just think that's such an important part of conferences that we've missed the last 2 years.
You completely miss, you're right, the personality. You don't get that all the way from not being able to be close to them or around them to see, like Heather said, see how their mood changes with a certain topic, which we experienced a good bit on Sunday. So it was just really everything. It really was for me.
But it was a different kind of conference also, Liz. Like one thing that I think Tip does very well in Own Hers, and I think that, and I didn't know a whole lot about owners, even though we've known Tip for a while through DPC, right? Is that, as entrepreneurs, sometimes people forget that entrepreneurs are still human beings. And they're multifaceted creatures. So it's not just always business, and your emotions and your business, they're all intertwined, right? It's almost like one of those DNA structures, right? Because like if you can't pay your employees, it affects your mood, it affects your mental and physical health. And I think that's a huge part that's missed in so many business conferences, whereas Tip really, encapsulated all the components of the person that is the entrepreneur, that is the business. It wasn't just networking. There was amazing networking and people got great ideas and resources from each other, but it was also like, clear your head, get rid of those blockage points that make it hard for you to run your business successfully. It was, there was like charge your worth, we were talking about before, right?
Yes.
Especially female entrepreneurs are notorious for being like, oh, you can't afford my fee. Oh, let me make some like, let me lower it for you. No, I told the story before. I hired this male consultant for something, and his fee was $1,000 an hour. And I said, "Do you have any wiggle room?" And he said, "Nope." It was like no, like I would have been like, I know I would have like hemmed and hawed, right? But he was like, "Nope, that's what it is." Like there was no question, right? So, but why don't we do that as female entrepreneurs, right?
Yeah, I agree. And she's very passionate about that topic. And I swear sometimes when she's talking about it, she's looking at me.
We all think she's looking at us.
Oh, exactly. It has to be, because she is very passionate about it. And she's so right. And Liz, you made a really good point earlier when you were saying this is 20 years of experience that I'm putting life easier in this small amount of time. So Tip has to constantly remind me that this is 20 something years of financial and budgeting. You've been doing this forever, that you're now sitting here with someone to do. And yeah, it may take you this bit of time, but it's still your time. It's still your time. So, the event was great. And it wasn't really a conference. We keep saying conference, but it was a Lux vacation.
Okay, look, there was no like vacation about it. I felt like we were on all day.
It's true. We were all on, and then we had our little photo shoot and our massages. Like there was things incorporated in this event that was just amazing. And she does a great job at it. I can't wait to be back in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, for real. I feel like I got gypped, Liz, because like every other year I've been in Puerto Rico. I'm in North Carolina. Come on. I mean, I've been there. It's beautiful, but Puerto Rico.
I'm going to want to edit that out, Heather. We don't say gypped anymore.
You don't? Why? Is that a bad word?
It is? It's old school. It's okay.
Why? What does it mean?
It's derogatory toward gypsies, and it's actually Roma people. You call.
I didn't even know that.
I didn't know that either. Gyp, that's
See?
I say gyp all the time.
Maybe we should again use me as
Just
that
it's
example.
not edited out and use it as a learning opportunity for our.
As a side note. I honestly didn't even know that. I didn't know
I
that
did
at
not.
all.
Yeah.
I did not.
But isn't that so interesting how words become so just ingrained in our colloquial way of speaking? We don't even always know. But I think it's also a great learning experience because, you know, so you told me that, so now I know, and I will be very cognizant of it. But if you would have been like, what is wrong with you? Why would you say that? Then, right? Then I would be much less likely to take that as a learning experience.
Exactly. You would be very defensive. I would be too. But no, I didn't know either, Liz. I really didn't. I had
no idea.
But yes, now I know.
Oh,
wow, that's fascinating.
Learning a lot. But so next year the conference is going to be in Puerto Rico.
Well, normally it's in Puerto Rico, but I don't know what her plan next year would be. Right. But I think in 2019 it was in Puerto Rico, I believe. I wasn't around at that time, so I'm not sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll have to put that on the calendar.
So why do you think, I mean, I'm so curious about this. Like, why do you think people are so sensitive to talk about money? I mean, like, people go on dates, they'll be sleeping with each other and they won't know what each other makes. Like, how is your body less of a taboo, like less sensitive than what's in your bank account? Like, when did that happen?
You know, I really think it's all about upbringing. So if money was not discussed in your household, then that's why you wouldn't think to discuss it in the bedroom. Where
I mean, it's not pillow talk. I'm just saying, like,
my pillow talk though.
I mean, maybe, I don't know. Like,
my
what's in your bank account, right?
He kind of say, you know, he'll say, yeah, you need some money. I'm like, I don't know how I feel about you saying that right now.
Let's say
you know, but at the same time, you know, if it's a part of your culture to talk about it, like I said, in my household, we watch them do it. I've watched other people that do what I do, and most of them, they had weekly meetings about finances in their families. And I'm astonished because I'm realizing that is the premise for people like me to do what you do. But if you didn't do that, then talking about money is just as uncomfortable as maybe speaking about sex in general.
Yeah.
Maybe more uncomfortable because I feel like, look, think back when Salt and Pepper first came out. Let's talk about sex, baby. Everyone was like, oh my God. Now it's like, we're whopping it on the radio now. Like, come on, people. It went downhill fast from Salt and Pepper, but we're still not talking about money.
No, we're still not talking about money. And that's really, I really love the fact that the kids are so interested in asking me the questions that parents didn't even know
how.
They didn't even know they knew what credit score was or loans, bank loans. This is 10 and 12 years old, asking me about purchasing property because they heard that that's the best form of investment. You know, it's like, what?
Right.
Great, let's talk about it, you know, and I love it. If I could get to them when they're younger, then I won't have as many adult clients, even with the adult clients that are looking to now purchase homes and things like that. They're like, okay, enough is enough. I'm not living home with my mother anymore. I need to get out. I don't know where to start. And I just dig into their numbers and realize, and sometimes all I'm telling them is it's not, your numbers are not that bad, and it's almost like they're like, it's not. And they think it's horrible, but it's not. And I lay it out. And this is what's going to happen with us, Heather. I'm going to show you the spreadsheet and I'm going to give you the bottom line after I dig all into your finances and get into your accounts and your credit cards and things. And I just lay it all out. Once you lay it out, like I like to say, and Tip said it the other day, that I always say, once you see it, you can't unsee it. Once I show you, you're not going to be able to unsee it. It's in your head. It's embedded. And now you go day to day just thinking about what that bottom line number is. And if you adjust, now you're able to take away and add plus or minus different finances throughout the day because I already gave you your bottom line on a month to month.
Well, what's interesting, I think, and it's supposed to come up with a lot of your clients, especially if you have entrepreneurial clients, is that one thing that we've always found very difficult is that, I mean, less now because the companies are more stable, right? And they're bigger and they're operating, is that not all business owners take a set W-2, a set salary every month. So if you're bringing home $10 one month and $10,000 the next month, right? Yep. Sometimes it's feast or famine. So that's also a really important component of your budgeting, right? That you have to work with people, because if you have a regular 9-to-5 job and you know you're making $60,000 a year, okay, well then you know exactly what you're getting every month. But that's not how it works when you own a business sometimes, right?
Right, exactly. And a lot of times, it's the ones that have the 9-to-5, the set annual salary that need the work and they need the help.
Oh, interesting.
When the salaries fluctuate, it's harder because you may not know what your next month income will be. And that is something you have to kind of plan for. You have to kind of plan for it. How are you going to try to assess it in some form of fashion? So I always tell people when they ask me, do you deal with business finances or personal? And I say personal, because I'm really trying to focus on your take home. Even if it's from your business, I'm trying to focus on your take home. And how can we try to project what your income will be from your business on a month to month?
Yes.
It's what we try to assess. So I go for different packages, because if you know that you're in deep crap, we then do a 3-month, or we do a 2-month, not 2 month, 3-month or a month. But in Heather's case, we're doing a couples edition, which is going to be really exciting.
Which may end up being therapy at the same time. I don't know.
It's financial therapy. I tell people that, this is financial therapy, because you end up unloading and telling me everything, because I'm going to see if you go to McDonald's 3 times a day.
Well, that we don't do. I'll tell you that much right now. But you might be like, Heather, how many dresses do you need in your closet? That's what's going to come down to, right? Exactly. How many dresses? I need a lot.
Or I'm going to say, how many times do you have to get your nails done in a month? Something like that.
This is great. So Kimberly, if other people want to do this, if other people want to go to financial therapy, where do they find you?
They can find me on Instagram at Common State Group. You can go to www.commonstategroup.com, and I'm also on Facebook at Common State Group as well.
And we'll put all those links in the show notes and everything. And I think what you do is so important for business owners, for individuals, for everybody, because we see the school debt that people are carrying these days. We see the world's not, as far as financially concerned, and other ways too, but not at all like when our parents were kids, right? So, and there's, they didn't have this thing where you're like Audible's constantly pulling $14 out of your account, right? You're like, it's not enough to make you stop.
Yes.
But if you have 22 things that are $14 each, right? So those type of things, I think we are more inundated with those than they ever were before. It just wasn't around.
It just was not around. Exactly. We have so many automatic withdrawals. Not to mention what they used to have back in the day that I don't think was budgeted properly are our vices. We all have vices, right? You play lotto, you drink, you smoke cigarettes or whatever else it is. But those things need to be budgeted. And when you do, I did the budget for one person, and the amount of money they spent in recreational stuff they couldn't afford it. So, and it's like, you have to budget everything. Don't just once a week, you have to budget everything. And we really do figure all of it out.
It's like when you're counting your calories, right?
Yes.
Everything that goes in your mouth. It has, what did you call yourself the other day? A personal trainer of your finances, right? Liz and I say that we're the personal trainers of supplier diversity when you get your certification in diversity masterminds.
Yes.
It's like, if you, every single drop that you put in your mouth, every pea, every chocolate chip, you have to track it.
Yes, you do.
Right? It's the same thing with the finances, right?
At least track it to a point where you get an idea of what you may need to adjust. And then after that, everything else will become second nature, and you'll end up saving in no time.
Makes it sound so easy, Liz. She makes it sound so easy.
I'm telling you, I love this stuff. I love it.
I know. So you'll have to come back. We'll have to actually see how it went with Heather at some point. And but thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. I appreciate you guys for letting me on and letting me talk with you guys.
Yes.
And we will see you next time on Business Unusual. Bye.
Bye.